What's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It is Kevin Forte back today for our Western Conference Stanley Cup Playoffs preview for 2025. Who will be heading as the Western Conference representative to the Stanley Cup Final? We are to discuss that here today. So, the Edmonton Oilers and the Dallas Stars is going to be your matchup in the West. I already did my preview video for the Eastern Conference, so at the end of today's video, if you want to check out who one of these teams might be matching up in the from the Eastern Conference side to the Cup Final, I'll make sure to check that video out after this one. So the Edmonton Oilers, right? They're back in the Final Four. It's been another successful season on paper for the Oilers, but they want to win a cup. And I think when you have Draisaitl and McDavid, that's what you're hoping for. And I think for the Dallas Stars, they have a lot of adversity they've dealt with through the postseason so far. I mean, I don't think anybody had them getting past the first round. Colorado was playing really well in the second half of the season. Dallas finds a way without Miro Heiskanen, without some of their star powers like Jason Robertson. They found a way to win that series. And then they go to the second round. And then the second round was not that much easier of a test. And then you kind of go to the Oilers, who you kind of expected to be here, but they had to play some tough teams. We know how Vegas can be in the postseason. They took care of them pretty handily. So I think when you look at both of these teams coming into this matchup, it's no surprise that this is our final in the West, but it's also how we got here was a little bit interesting. You know, the Oilers, for all intents and purposes, this is the best version of McDavid and Draisaitl we've seen in their time here. And I think that when you're seeing McDavid slamming into the boards on a back check in a game against the Golden Knights, which thank God he's not hurt from that. But that's the type of stuff that gets you to where the Oilers are at. And for the Dallas Stars, I mean, Mikko Rantanen has been a story to watch. And I think what I really like about Mikko Rantanen is he's trying to prove everybody wrong. He has that mentality, that like extra chip on his shoulder, which I think, yeah, could it be a little bit, seen as something as like, all right, get over yourself. But I think he's using it as momentum to drag him through the postseason. And I think it's really worked well. Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn haven't been their best, but that's why the complementary pieces that have become the core pieces of the Dallas Stars, this is a young team in Dallas now. It's not the Dallas Stars from 2020 or 2022. This team is a different team. And we're seeing the emergence of some guys like Thomas Harley, who have been great to watch. And I think as we've seen the development and the maturity of a lot of the young guys in Dallas, this team is going to be a force to be reckoned with for a long time, and not just this season. And for everything that we love about the Dallas Stars, I think the star of the show, Jake Ottinger, he's going to have to put on another performance here. And I think that is probably could be the Achilles heel for the Edmonton Oilers, is what version of Stuart Skinner is going to show up in the playoffs. You know, we've seen Calvin Pickard come in and play well, but, I mean, Jake Ottinger, if he's at the top of his game, is going to outduel Stuart Skinner even at the top of his game. That could be the difference in this series, and that's why a lot of people are going to probably pick Dallas to win this series, and rightfully so. I think when it comes to this point in the postseason, you're tired, you're worn out, and Dallas is going to do everything they can. If Edmonton is going to win this series, it's going to be because some guy that is not named Draisaitl or McDavid is going to win it for them. And I think the Dallas Stars are going to test them on that, and they're going to make sure that those two players are going to be limited as much as possible. As difficult of a task as that is, they're going to do everything in putting the forces on those guys, which does open up the ice for other guys on the Edmonton Oilers, which means they have to score, they have to produce. And I think that they can do that in this series, but they're going to need that contribution from the depth. Now, in terms of face-offs, power plays, things like that, it's pretty even. Both of these teams really have, the reason you get to this point, you have to find ways to win in those little areas. I think the penalties are really going to dry up, so I'm not even really looking at power plays and penalty kills. Even in the last series with the Panthers and the Hurricanes, we're at the point in the playoffs now where, it has to be an egregious, too many men on the ice or a puck over the glass. it's got to be really egregious for the refs to call something. And unless this series gets really out of hand in games like 2 or 3, I don't see the officials really getting themselves involved in this series. For Dallas, though, I will say if they muck it up, that could be a benefit for them. I think they could maybe throw Draisaitl and McDavid, even if it's for a split second off their game. You know, we saw Vegas do that a little bit. Just little things like McDavid's coming down and he's about to shoot, and then he gets his stick lifted before the puck's even there, and now he's trying to readjust before he gets the puck. It's little things like that when you have a player like McDavid and Draisaitl who are world beaters and unstoppable to an extent. You have to do every little thing to throw them off. Every little, extra tug after the whistle, tapping the stick, like whatever mental gymnastics you have to play to get to McDavid and Draisaitl's heads, that's going to be the key to the series for the Dallas Stars, because as good as Dallas is, as much depth as they have, damn, McDavid and Draisaitl, it's hard to bet against those guys. They are that talented. Now, going to the defense for both of these teams, I would say the overall best defenseman, it's definitely Miro Heiskanen. It's not even a question. Miro Heiskanen is the best defenseman here. But we've seen the emergence over the last 2 years of Evan Bouchard, who's really shown up as a really important defenseman for the Edmonton Oilers. And to put on top of that, it sounds like Mattias Ekholm potentially could be playing in Game 1 of this series. Now, I don't know for certain. At the making of this video, they haven't announced yet. I'm sure as soon as this video gets posted, we'll find out. But we'll be finding out some kind of clarity on what's going on with Mattias Ekholm, if he will be in this series. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes it at some point, if it's not Game 1. But I wouldn't be surprised if Ekholm's back. That's a huge piece for the Edmonton Oilers. And again, adding to that defense, which, as good as it's been so far, adding Ekholm would be huge for them. For Dallas, like I said earlier, I think Thomas Harley really has become a good defenseman. And a defenseman that, we're wow. This kid finally showed up. He's a former first-round pick. Took him a little while to develop. He's turned into a really solid defenseman for them. And I think that as you kind of look at the blend, I think the perfect gel of the Dallas Stars is the fact they have so many veterans on this team that have been there for a while, but you also have that young movement of the younger guys that's coming in, like Wyatt Johnston and Roope Hintz and Miro Heiskanen and Jason Robertson. The blend of everything for Dallas really does give them a very good fighting chance in this series. And with Jake Ottinger, that is the wild card. I truly believe that. If Dallas wins this series, Jake Ottinger has to steal some games. And I think they could do that. But with that said, there is one point that I mentioned at one point in this video, and I truly believe that is the difference in this series. Draisaitl and McDavid are at the top of their game right now. And I don't care who you are. You could have 10 guys against those two on the ice, and nobody is stopping them. They are just so good at what they do. They have a desire to win right now in Edmonton that we have not seen in Edmonton for a very long time. And with McDavid and Draisaitl out there on any given moment, and Stuart Skinner has proven he can be a pretty good goaltender. Maybe he isn't as talented as Jake Ottinger, but maybe there's just enough there for the Dallas Stars to maybe fall in this series early. The Oilers have kind of dispatched everybody before them. And I think you could make the argument, well, they haven't faced a lot of adversity. It wasn't that long ago. They were down in the series against the Los Angeles Kings and rattled back and took over that series, losing the first 2 games and winning the next 4. Bye-bye LA in the first round. Done in 6. And then you look at what they did in the second round against Vegas, a very talented team, and putting them away pretty early and quietly. This is going to be another interesting matchup with the Dallas Stars, that if Dallas can wear you down and make this a kind of a mud match where it's 1-0, 2-0, 3-1, 3-2 final games, it could be in favor of the Dallas Stars. And Pete DeBoer knows that. He's going to make sure his guys know that. For the Edmonton Oilers, the more goals, the better, because the more goals they score, I don't think many teams in the league are going to be outscoring the Edmonton Oilers. And with that said, I think this is going to be the Edmonton Oilers making their trip back to the Stanley Cup Final. I love the Dallas Stars. I think in my ideal world, I'd love to see a new series here. I'd love to see Dallas and Carolina get to the Stanley Cup Final. The reality here, though, I think the Edmonton Oilers, I think Stuart Skinner is playing good enough, and I think that McDavid and Draisaitl are just too good. And I think they're going to find a way. On top of Ekholm coming back from injury, I think that is going to be another big piece. And I'm going to have the Edmonton Oilers winning this series in 6 games to head back to the Stanley Cup Final. So that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of this matchup? Who do you think is going to win and go as the Western Conference representative to the 2025 Stanley Cup Final? Let me know what you think down below. Make sure to check out our Eastern Conference Final preview as well after watching this video. And I'll see you guys again next time. Peace out, guys.